Hey everybody, Gary here, GK Aquatics. Today I'm going to show you how to make an air manifold. If you have more than one aquarium, like you have, the one I'm going to make is going to be for 6. Rather than having a whole bunch of little air pumps all over the place, I'm going to use 2 to feed all 6 of them. And rather than going out and buying them and this and that, I'm going to show you how to make a manifold out of PVC that will help distribute that air. So stick with me all the way to the end and I'll show you all this. What we're gonna do, I told you we're gonna make that air manifold so I can have a whole bunch of things. I want mine to be about this long. You can cut yours to any length you want. I like using 1-inch PVC. You can use the thin stuff or the thicker Schedule 40. Now, one advantage to the Schedule 40 is it doesn't bend as much, it's easier to cut with the cutters, and it depends on what kind of air fittings you're going to use as to how easy it'll be. Now I had bought an entire like 8-foot length. I'm not going to use it for this. It depends on how many tanks you're running. Right now I'm just going to use this for like 6 tanks. Eventually I want to do well, you'll see. This is really cool. I don't know how I went so long without it. It's a PVC pipe cutter that is razor sharp. Be careful. One of the nice things is when it's closed, the blade is completely covered. This was like 20 bucks and I don't know how I survived without it. This will cut, I think, like up to 1.5 inches. Even the thin walled stuff, you just click it, and we're done. But I already cut this to length, and then what I'm going to do, I'm using 1 inch. You can go smaller. Now your air supply is probably only going to be 1 to 2 psi. You don't need to glue these parts. Okay. Now what I have here is I have these little fittings. When I ordered these, I did not realize that they would have barbs on them. I wanted smooth ones, and this is what I got, but they were really, really cheap, but you get what you pay for. What I would recommend is actually going to Aquarium Co-op. This makes some really, really nice ones. They're about $1.50 a piece, which in the grand scheme of things is not all that much. They're about $1.50 a piece. They're really nice. They're harder plastic. These, you can tell they're probably going to strip out, but the Zis ones will hold up much better. But this is what I have to work with. Now, if you are using, I also have a scrap piece to practice on. If you are using one of these, what you're going to do is use a small piece of tubing into the plastic and then hook the air line on it, because these barbs will not seal. They won't. They just won't. The Zis ones have a smooth, and what you're going to have to do is figure out which ones are going to fit. Now what I have done, I used 3 different size drill bits, made 3 different size holes. Oh, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to try this. Let me make a 4th different sized hole. I cannot get that to do it. Maybe I need to go with yet another size upgrade. Okay, now that I found one, let's try this end. Okay, apparently I found a really, really dull one. It feels tight. Maybe if I silicone that, it'll stay, but I'm not comfortable with that. You know, I could try it. It might work. But the thing is, eventually it'll wear out because turning this on and off, I'm not going to do that. So, what I'm going to do is I am going to take this. Now I cut that at an angle to make it feed through better. Now that first hole, there is no way I'm getting that in there. Let's try this one. Okay, that went in. Yeah, it might actually work. But let's go one smaller. Go right here. It'll be a little tougher to get that in there. In fact, it may not even go. See, now I could reach in there and pull it through and it'll make a nice tight but I won't be able to do that in this. So I need to be able to fit it through. Now, the thing is, once you make a hole, you can't go back and make it smaller. There we go. You know what? That one's going to work. 13/64 for that. Okay, now, let's move all this other stuff out of the way. And I'm going to show you what I'm doing here real quick. And what I do is I take this thing, I've already got my caps on it. I like to line these, all the printing up, because that's going to be against the back so you won't see it. Now I'm going to take a piece of tape. If you have wider tape, it actually works better. But it doesn't have to be perfect. Now I got that on there and it's fairly straight. I could use that as a straight edge. But here's what I'm going to do. If I take my marker here, as long as I don't move anything. Alright, I made those too high or my marker's too big or something. I'm going to take those back off of there. Now, I didn't let anything move. I have a nice straight line. I'm going to put 7 in here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Now, it doesn't have to be perfect. It's not that big a deal. You could measure those out and get them spaced perfectly and all that stuff. And I'm going to put the caps back on just because I like having a little more distance between my drill bit and my wife's table because she likes her table. Yeah, it walked a little bit on me. So if you had pilot type drill bits, that would probably be better. Yeah, see how that's walking? Yeah, it's not going to work. Okay. Let's try this. See, it's my first time too. And turn our speed up. Oh, way better. Now, once you have drilled a hole, you really can't fill the whole thing back in. You could put silicone over it, I guess. I'm not pushing it all because I don't want to go all the way through. Now, except for these two down here where it walked on me because I didn't put the smaller hole in first, they're all in a nice line. You pull your tape off, it's nice and clean. And there we go. Now, what I'm going to do, this end doesn't matter. The end that goes in doesn't matter, but the other end you want to be nice and clean. And these are the worst scissors. They do not want to work. Okay, so I'm going to try to make them about the same. Oh, these scissors are horrible. Let me go get some that work. So where was I? Okay, I got one. Now I'm going to cut this at an angle. Angle. There. Now, just take these, fit them right in. You got to get air in there to get it out. And here's what I got. Now for this, I am going to use the next smaller size, 3/16. Now, I'm not going to do it like this because it will go into my wife's table and she won't be happy about it. But I also don't want to go like this because it could slip off and hit my hand, which I won't be happy about. I'm going to have 4 holes running in. Okay, for the end, it's easier to make a tighter fit because once you get it started, see you got the little bit sticking through there? You can just pull that right through. That is a nice tight fit. It's not going anywhere. And I'll just take that. I'll put it right on there. I have air going in. These other 3 I'll have also going to pumps. I have two outlet pumps. So I have 4 outlets. I'm going to have all 4 of them going into this. And then 7 coming out. But there we go. We basically have it. Hook that up to my air pumps. And I will have to redo my entire temporary fish room. Because right now I have air hoses running all over the place and I don't like it. Now I'm going to mount this up on the wall above the fish tanks. Because of that, I will not need a check valve. Because there's no way, even if the power goes out, there's no way it can siphon up. So that won't be an issue. So there we have it. Got our manifold. I'm going to go test this out, see how it works. Alright, so what it does is I got air hoses running everywhere, including some up here for this. And then I have this conglomeration on the floor that goes to that tank, and one of them goes up here and feeds that and that. And I'm just over it. I got to get rid of some of those. Alright, so here's how it's going to work. Okay, and here we have completed. Now what I think I'm going to do is I'm going to take this and use a little conduit hooks and put it up here on the wall just a few inches. Just to get it off of there. But it looks a lot better already. And you can actually run as many taps as you want. I have just one air pump. It's off to the side now. And it is running. I'm actually getting much smoother airflow through these. I can adjust them. I got airflow there. I actually need to turn that one down a little bit. My filter back there. And that one in there. Guppies, get out of the way. So yeah, here we go. I got them all done. It's working. Now I still have 3 outlets here that I can use, because I have one here going to my fry box. I have one here going to my brine shrimp. Now I use, it's funny, I'm keeping my brine shrimp hatchery in this aquarium because this aquarium is 80 degrees and that's what temp I need the brine shrimp to be at. So since this is in the house, I don't want to heat the room to that temperature. So I just did it that way. I'm like, wait, I already have a tank that's 80 degrees. Look at that. And I still have this mess down here, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn this light on. I'm going to take this pump, hook it up to those other 2 fittings on the end of that. And what I have is my little fry container and the brine shrimp hatchery, and this is all that's running off of this pump. So I have 3 outlets there, so this is more than enough. Actually, that one pump may be enough to run it all, so I can cut my electricity and won't even need to use this pump. Or I actually have a great big whisper filter. Ooh, that's an idea. Just throw that thing on there and go crazy. One pump uses less electricity than 2. So there you have it. Guppies. Guppies all day long. Guppies, guppies, guppies. So there we go. We have it there. This is not my show tanks. These are just breeder tanks and stuff. So don't get excited. But this is just about the manifold. You're not going to have that in your house either on your display tanks. So, but there you go. That's how you do it. It's working fine. It's not leaking. And it cost me I want to say that whole thing, which I can add as many as I want onto it, that whole thing cost me about as much as this gang valve. Now, that being said, what I think I will do when I do it again is I will opt for those Zis filter, or the Zis air valves, because these, whether you like it or not, the valves seem to leak by just a hair, and you really got to crank down on them, and then you worry about stripping them and everything else. The Zis air valves, you don't have that problem. So I think that's what I'm going to do next time, is go with the Zis ones and next size up on the drill bit and friction seat them. They should be fine. Everything's great. Okay, you can see what I actually have here now. I put 7 outlets on there, and I actually put an 8th item because on one pump, one air pump. It's a big air pump, but it's one air pump. You can buy it. It's a Walmart air pump. I got these babies in here. They need air. I got brine shrimp going here. They need air. I got more eggs over here. They need air. And I got my cycled sponge filter back there, and it needs air. I got that going. I got all these tanks going. And they are all running exactly the speed I want them to run. And even this one, sorry my lights are off, but it's running just fine as well. So there you have it. I got all that running on one little aquaculture pump. Now it is a double outlet pump and I have both outlets going to the pipe over there, but all this is running on it. I got links to other videos in the description. Remember to like, share, subscribe. We'll see you next time.